But let's reflect on Arsenal, if we can, Jay, a little bit. One of your favourite topics, of course. They've won the major trophy under Mikel Arteta back in 2020. It was August, wasn't it? Because of the surreal COVID months that we had. Does it feel like now they need to win silverware 5 years on?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest, that Arsenal are where they are in the league. I thought this would be the season that they kick on. Yes, I mean, me and Clint spoke about it last week. Arsenal is one of those teams that are dying out for a striker. And I feel like that's always been the problem of recent years. I think we rely too heavily on Saka and Odegaard. Saka being our best player, but Odegaard probably been our most important, as in he keeps it ticking. But, you know, Arteta's come into the club. He finished 8th, 5th, 2nd. And now we're in his 6th season. He spent a lot of money, the better part of 700 million. And I feel like it's just gone a bit stale. The fact that Arsenal now are relying on set pieces a lot. We're not playing free-flowing football like we was last year. Yeah. It almost tells me, like, when plan A doesn't work, it's like, what happens next? I've seen in recent weeks the defence being a bit shaky, especially against Newcastle. I've never seen Arsenal's defence, you know, be a bit afraid, like when Isak got the ball. They was dropping off rather than getting tight. But to allude to what you said there, Teddy, Arsenal really do need a trophy. But I think the most important thing is the league. And it's very disappointing to see Arsenal where they are. And it's not that Arsenal are out of the title race, because they're definitely in the title race, but at the moment they just look way off it compared to Liverpool.
Clinton, it's interesting we look back at Arsenal winning the FA Cup in Arteta's first season because they had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on fire up front. He scored 2 goals in the final. People praise Arteta for how he handled that and how he eased Aubameyang out, but have they still not replaced him? Is that part of the issue?
Well, it's difficult because Arsenal suit with that playing that false number 9. Kai Havertz done well, but we were speaking about it, me and Jay last week. I do think the time's come where you have a number 9. We're all number 9s here. We all.
It's not an objective panel, is it?
When you see it,
I'm a number 10 now.
He's changed his game, but that's when you see a team without a number 9, you do look and think. I know Man City were very good at it, but I do think in some games you look at Arsenal. I know Jesus has been scoring recently, but Jesus is better off one of the wide as well. So they are missing a number 9, and it is big for Arteta. I think he needs to win a trophy. They spent a lot of money at that football club. People don't realise the amount of money they spent, but they have progressed. But I think this is a massive week. Do you know why? Because they went last week and they lost to Newcastle. They're still in that, by the way, if they can score earlier now. But you make Newcastle favourites. If you lose this afternoon to Man United, there's no cup competition. And then imagine you lose the North London derby. Your season's basically over. So that's why I say it's a big 10 days.
Champions League.
Yeah, it's a massive 10 days for Arsenal. Do I expect that all to happen? No, because they've got top quality players. But this is a massive football match for Arsenal.
Dean, on Tuesday, Mikel Arteta suggested, reference to that Carabao Cup defeat to Newcastle, that the ball had an impact on his players. It'll be an FA Cup ball today. I hope Arteta's got his hands on it and tested it. But just want to get your thoughts on the comments and what sort of impact does the ball have first and foremost? And maybe those kind of comments from your manager.
It depends if I miss a chance or not. If I miss a chance, then it has everything to do with it. He's trying to take the pressure off his players, his forward players that have missed the chances. I actually think Arsenal have been really unlucky this season. I think they're so close. And they've had, I think, quite a few decisions not particularly go their way, refereeing decisions. If we look at the red cards earlier in the season, especially. I also think defensively, I think they've been very, very good. I mean, if you look at the XG, and in terms of how likely the teams are to score the goals that they've scored against them, they're so low. So they're a bit unlucky that those teams have scored those chances against them. They give teams very, very little. And he's built a very solid defensive team.
Have they become more defensive this season?
I wouldn't say just this season. I think they're just a good defensive side. He's built his side, I would say, predominantly on a defensive unit. The problem he's got is the players aren't taking the chances. And so everybody, including us, will go, you need that player that will take the chances. I think they're so close, and it might just be 1 or 2 players that make the difference. But I think they're a little bit unlucky this season not to be a lot closer.
I feel like with Arteta, though, sometimes he's a bit stubborn to his ways. It's almost like he plays players when they're in bad form, and he tries to play them into good form rather than just take players out and put players in.
Is that not called faith in a player?
Yes, it is called faith, but ultimately sometimes it's better to take a player out and put a player in, and that player can come on, maybe make an impact. Then he gets his confidence. But I thought, like you said, Dina, I thought Arsenal might have won the league this year based upon their back line, because like you said, they don't concede many goals. I'm not one of these people though. I'm not really interested in XG. Because ultimately, there's players that have individual brilliance that are going to go and do things, especially in this day and age in the Premier League. Again, like you said, Dino, we miss far too many chances. And they're good chances where you see one-on-ones. Chances like Havertz had the other day. They're key chances to win games.
From the cross,
Like Isak does not miss them chances. Kane's do not miss them chances. Haaland's, they don't miss them chances. And if you score them chances, you win games with that back line. Ultimately, we're not doing it this year.
So who might he sign in January to change that?
Listen, to be perfectly honest, if you can't sign Isak in this January window, don't sign no one. And then wait until the summer and then try your best to get that one player, because I think he's the one player that Arsenal need. Because then you've got the likes of Jesus. Jesus plays on the right wing, he plays on the left wing. We feed out from Man City. Havertz can play as a number 10. He can play in the 3 in midfield. He can play in the wide areas. I just feel like now Arsenal need a striker that's going to go and score 20, 30 Premier League goals, and Isak can do that.
Is Isak realistic, though, Clinton?
Not in January, no way. Are Newcastle going to sell him? Absolutely no chance. They'll put as much money as possible on him, over 150 million and above, I think, with Isak. Because Newcastle are challenging to get into the Champions League. They could go on and win the Carabao Cup if they beat Arsenal and can get whoever they play out of Tottenham and Liverpool in the final. If they do beat Arsenal, as I said, that tie is not over, but they've got a great chance of finishing in the top 4. And if you go and sell your best player, how does that look on players like Bruno Guimaraes and other players, top players that you have there? Then you're thinking to the club, are you a selling club? You're selling our best players. So I don't see Isak going in this window, no chance.
Would he see it as a big step up, Isak, to go to Arsenal, with all due respect, from where he is now? They're 5 points off Arsenal at the table and they're going well.
To Newcastle, and I think they're on an upward trajectory. They've got the Saudi backing, and I think they're a very, very good club. But ultimately, Arsenal are one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I said this last week. I said, the biggest clubs in the world can go and take players off Newcastle. We see Man United do it. We see Real Madrid do it. We see, Man City go and do it. And I feel like now, I think what Clinton said is realistic. I don't see Newcastle letting Isak go right now. But at the end of the season, you can get him. You can get him. And, regardless of what managers say and players say, we've heard loads of stories now about the way Alex Ferguson used to call up players and say, do you want to play for Man United? Of course I do. That happens in football. And I feel like if you was to go to Isak and his representatives and say, do you want to play for Arsenal Football Club? Arsenal Football Club is a step forward, regardless of where Newcastle is right now.
We shall see. Newcastle signing for £63 million. Looks a snip, doesn't it, to Alexander Isak now.